Hello students, today we are going to start the different type of blood vessels and their functions. First of all, in our body, we have three different type of blood vessels. One is artery, second one is vein, and third one is capillary. Arteries, veins and capillaries, they are made up of different layers. In case of arteries and veins, they have three layers. What are they? Tunica externa, tunica media and tunica interna. Tunica externa is the outermost layer, tunica media is the middle layer, and tunica interna is the internal inner or innermost layer. Tunica externa is very much thin in case of arteries and it is very thick in case of veins. Tunica media, which is a muscle layer, is very much thick in case of arteries and is thin in case of veins. And tunica interna, which is just a squamous epithelial tissue, which is same in case of both arteries and the veins. The capillaries instead have only one layer, that is tunica interna. So this tunica interna have just the squamous epithelial tissues in the capillaries. Now just see, if it comes to the arteries, it carry the oxygenated blood. Except one artery, that is pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery carry this deoxygenated blood. In case of veins, veins carry only the deoxygenated blood except one, that is the pulmonary vein, which carry oxygenated blood. And the capillaries, where the mixing of both oxygenated as well as deoxygenated blood occurs. If it comes to the arteries, arteries do not have the valves. In case of the veins, veins do have the valves so that it can prevent the backflow of the blood. As more stretches or pressure occur in the arterial valve, that's why thick musculature or muscles are present. Whereas in case of the veins, veins do not have any pressure. So the pressure in the veins is always less, because the veins which is carrying deoxygenated blood to the heart, this is not because of any pumping or the contraction of the heart. The heart do not pump blood to the veins, it is to the arteries. So that's why actually coming from the feet to the heart, the blood need to come in opposite direction, that means opposite to gravity. So that's why it required the valves. If it comes to the movement of the blood, it is always jerky in case of the arteries and it is constant in veins. If a blood vessel has been cut and we do not know whether it is artery or vein, we can understand by just seeing the flow of the blood. If it is jerky, then it is artery. If it is constant or it is in a uniform direction, uniform flow, then it is called as the vein. After the death, all of the blood will go to the vein and arteries get emptied. Remember these things, these are important. If it comes to the pH, then the veins have a less pH, as hydrogen ion concentration is more in case of the veins. So there are different differences between the arteries and the veins. So this is all about, and if you see the arteries are found deeper in the body. Inside, suppose if you see the skin, the superficial blood vessel which we see in our hand, they are the veins. Normally the veins are superficial and arteries, they are present beneath, except in the regions like below the earlobe and in the wrist region. So in the wrist region and in the below the earlobe, we can see the arteries which become superficial. Otherwise, the arteries, they have been very much present in interior inside the body. It's beneath, whereas the veins are superficial. Now we will see the regulation of cardiac activity. Regulation of cardiac activity means which control the heart. So as we have already seen that the heart control is by the heart itself. They are SA node and AV node. It has the bundle of His and Purkinje fiber, because of what the heart can beat. See here, the heart, as it is regulated by the heart itself, as it is controlled by the muscle of the heart itself. So that's why heart of human is called as myogenic heart. Remember, human heart is myogenic. That means it is regulated by the muscles. If you see in case of the non-chordates like cockroach, the heart beating is regulated by the nerves or the neurons. That's why their heart is called as the neurogenic. But in case of human, in case of even the higher group of organisms, we have myogenic heart. Along with that, we have also a center in the brain which also regulates the cardiac activity, that is the medulla oblongata, which is present in the hindbrain. So now we will not understand where actually this medulla oblongata is present. The medulla oblongata is present just above the spinal cord. This is the last part of the brain. This is called as medulla oblongata. We will see in detail whenever we will discuss the brain. So medulla oblongata also controls the cardiac activity. Here in the heart we have some nerves. They are also associated thereby the sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves. They are also attached to the wall of the heart, which also can regulate or moderate the function of the heart. Along with that, also we need to know whenever we are in the stress condition or we are in the situation of emergency, then heartbeat increases. Why this happens? Here we have a reason, that is the medulla oblongata, that is the adrenal gland. Adrenal medulla release two hormones, they are adrenaline and noradrenaline. So this adrenaline and noradrenaline, they're released in the emergency situation, and whenever these two hormones releases, then what happened to the heart? The heart activity increases. So that's why we can have more oxygen supply to the tissues, so that in a fluent way we can work or we can act in the emergency situation. So this is the control of the heart. After that, let's just move to the last part of the chapter. They are the different diseases. After that, let's just move quickly to two parts. I have not told you in the cardiac cycle that in each cardiac cycle, in one beating of the heart, how much amount of blood is being pumped. Okay, so this is around 70 ml of blood is pumped by the heart in each beating. Whenever the heart beats, both oxygenated and deoxygenated blood comes out from the heart is around 70 ml, and that is called the stroke volume. Whenever we multiply the stroke volume into the number of beats in 1 minute, then this is called as cardiac output. So our heart beats 72 times in a minute, and in each cardiac cycle our heart pumps around 70 ml of blood. So that's why the cardiac output will be 70 into 72. Okay, so you just see here that in each cardiac cycle, I have already mentioned here that in each cardiac cycle around 70 ml of blood is being pumped out. That is called as the stroke volume, right? And stroke volume into number of heartbeat is called as cardiac output. So what is the stroke volume? Around 70 ml. And what is the number of heartbeats? 72 times. Okay, 70 into 72, around 5040 ml per minute, right? Or roughly we can say that is 5 liter per minute. Okay, so our cardiac output is around 5 liter. In 1 minute our heart pumps around 5 liter of blood. Okay, that means 5 liter of blood we have. So 5 to 6, it can vary to person to person. So that is around the stroke volume and the cardiac output. After that, let's just move to the heart diseases. Different diseases of circulatory system we have. Let's just move to those. So I have mentioned here 6 of the diseases. We have number of all other diseases also, but these 6 are important. So first of all, just see, this is the high blood pressure. What is the high blood pressure? What is the normal pressure? Okay, so the normal pressure is 120 by 80. Now what is 120? That is actually the 120 millimeter of mercury. That is the pressure given by the heart in the arteries during the systole. Whenever the heart pumps, then the blood gives pressure or stress to the wall of the arteries is around 120 ml of 120 mm of mercury. That means at that 120 millimeter of mercury pressure, the heart gives pressure to the arterial wall. And whenever the blood is not being pumped during the diastole, then the pressure exerted on the wall of the artery is around 80 millimeter of mercury. So this is the normal pressure, 120 by 80. That means the pressure given by the heart in the systole, that is around 120 mm of mercury, and 80 mm of mercury is given the pressure to the arterial wall during diastole. Now, whenever that individual, that limit is increased to 1/3 above 120, that can be 140 by 90, 160 by 100, that will be the high blood pressure. If the systolic pressure or diastolic pressure increases, then that is known as the high blood pressure. Normally it is 120/80, this is normal, and above this 120/80 will be high blood pressure. So 140/90, 160/100, that will be the high blood pressure. It can also increase accordingly. Now the next disease is the angina pectoris. Now what is angina pectoris? It's a condition of acute chest pains. The individual has chest pain. Why this happens? When the body do not get sufficient oxygen. If the body do not get sufficient oxygen, then the nervous system activates. It gives stress to the heart. So that's why the heart starts beating more. And whenever the heart starts to beat more to compensate the less oxygen supply, the heart starts to pain, and that's why chest pain occurs. So this is a condition called angina pectoris. Next one is heart failure. Whenever heart does not pump the sufficient amount of blood to the need of the body, then this is called as the heart failure. The heart do not supply sufficient oxygen to the tissues, then the condition is called as heart failure. Okay, next, that means heart fails to work. What is the function of the heart? The oxygen supply. If the oxygen supply is not there, then the heart fails its function. So that's the condition, heart failure. Next one is heart attack. What is the heart attack condition? This is a condition when the heart muscle suddenly stops. The muscle do not work. Suddenly, suppose SA node stops working, the Purkinje fiber stops working, bundle of his stops working, then this condition is called as heart attack. Next, the disease is cardiac arrest. The individual can have cardiac arrest when the individual do not have any beat. So if normally with beat is the lub and the dub sound. Okay, lub and dub sound will indicate the normal cardiac cycle. So if in the cardiogram ECG there is a beep sound occurs, then this condition is cardiac arrest. That means the heart is not working, it's not functional, and beating stops. That is the condition called cardiac arrest. So we need to have the differences between cardiac arrest, heart attack, and heart failure. Heart failure means less blood supply, that will be heart failure. Heart attack means when heart muscle do not work or suddenly stops, and cardiac arrest means whenever heartbeat stops. So remember the blood supply and muscle and beat in failure, attack, and arrest. Now the last disease is coronary artery disease. Coronary artery disease is also called as CAD. What happens? It is a condition when this is also called as atherosclerosis, right? Why this is happening? Whenever the individuals start to have cholesterol level high, calcium level high, or fat starts to deposit inside the blood vessel, then the size of the lumen starts to decrease. And if the size of the lumen starts to decrease, the blood starts to give more pressure, isn't that? So this is called as the coronary artery disease. And due to the coronary artery disease, you can have any of the conditions like heart failure or heart attack or cardiac arrest. So this can happen, but yeah, coronary artery disease, CAD, means this is normal condition. We used to say that we have cholesterol deposition, where the cholesterol starts to deposit inside the blood vessel. That makes the size of the lumen decreases, and that's why this CAD occurs. So this is all about a chapter, body fluid and circulation. I hope you understand. Thank you.